I was scrolling through my phone when the spam text came in, just as my pregnant wife walked into the room. I was about to delete it, but she saw the notification banner before I could. "I can't believe you," she sobbed, her voice escalating into a shriek. "You betrayed me." She swore she was going to get an abortion. It was only after her mother and younger sister intervened, pleading with her for hours, that she finally calmed down. They told me the incident had triggered a deep depression in her. My heart ached with guilt. I spent the next few decades catering to her every whim, my life revolving around her happiness, just to keep her going. I took care of her until she died peacefully in her sleep in her late 60s. It was while going through her belongings that I found it. A letter she'd written to another man when she was young. "I'm sorry," it read. "I had his child, and I feel like I should die for betraying you. But you have to believe, my heart has always been yours." A second later, my son rushed in and snatched the letter from my hands. "Don't you touch my mother's things," he snarled, his face contorted with rage. "You'll just tarnish the pure love they had." In his anger, he didn't realize his own strength. He shoved me hard, and I stumbled backward. The back of my head slammed against the floor, and just like that, with a heart full of bitter regret, I died. Then I opened my eyes. My wife was on the balcony, screaming that she was going to jump. I was staring at my phone, just registering the words in the text message and moving to delete it. "Andy, what are you looking at?" Chloe materialized beside me, snatching the phone from my hand. Her eyes scanned the screen, landing on the trashy notification. "Lonely housewives in your area. College girls and local singles are waiting. Click to match for free tonight." The scream that ripped from her throat was instantaneous, followed by the sound of a lamp shattering against the wall. "Andrew Miller, are you even human?" she shrieked. "I'm pregnant with your child, and you're out there trying to pay for sex. Tell me, this isn't the first time, is it? You men are all the same, disgusting pigs. All those nights I told you not to touch me. Is this how you got your fix?" I just sat there, eerily calm as a hailstorm of household objects rained down on me. My mind was crystal clear. I was back. Chloe's baby bump was obvious now, a round swell that marked her 5th month of pregnancy. We'd been married for 2 years. But it wasn't just during the pregnancy that she'd kept me at arm's length. From the moment we started dating, she'd been guarded. I thought I'd found a rare, traditional woman and felt I should cherish her for it. But after the wedding, she always had an excuse to avoid being intimate. A few months ago, after a night of heavy drinking, she had uncharacteristically come on to me. She was bold, passionate, and I lost myself in her, making love to her several times through the night. The next morning, she woke up and slapped me hard across the face. I brushed it off as morning after shyness, thinking nothing of it. It was after that night that she got pregnant. Seeing me sitting there, unresponsive, Chloe made a move toward her own stomach. "You men have no idea how much pain we go through during pregnancy. I never should have gotten pregnant with your child. I'm not doing it. A man like you doesn't deserve a baby. I'm getting rid of it." She knew how much I wanted this child. My parents died when I was young, and I'd always longed for a family of my own, a complete home with a woman I loved. But now I just looked at her, my voice flat. "You've always said it's your body, your choice, and that a man has no right to tell you what to do. If you want an abortion, go ahead. It's not too late." She froze, clearly stunned by my response. "Andy, are you serious? This is your child. How can you be so cold? Have you fallen out of love with me?" This child was supposed to be a miracle for us. The hope I'd felt then was matched only by the despair I felt now. After all, the child she would give birth to was the same person who would one day kill me. And his mother was not the woman I could ever build a real home with. The truth revealed in that letter I found before I died had turned my heart to ash. This woman had loved someone else from the very beginning. I was just a pathetic backup plan she'd settled for, a fool who had spent decades treating her like queen. This child and this woman. In this life, I wanted neither. 2. Chloe recoiled from my icy stare, stumbling back a few steps. "Andrew Miller, how dare you push her?" The bedroom door flew open. Just like last time, her mother and her sister, Ashley, rushed in, drawn by the commotion. With her family as backup, Chloe's hysterics immediately resumed. She scrambled over to the window, clinging to the frame and wailing, "I can't live like this. I'm going to die with my baby. I can't do it anymore." "Chloe, calm down. Just tell us what happened," her mother pleaded, keeping a safe distance afraid of setting her off. Sis, Mom and I are here for you, Ashley added. If he did something to hurt you, we'll make him pay. What's the point? I'm married to a lowlife who cheats while I'm pregnant. I might as well be dead. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, her mother ventured, glancing at me. Andy seems like a decent guy. Andy, come over here and say something. She waved me over frantically. While I didn't move, she marched over and grabbed my arm. I had no choice but to step forward. Yeah, it's a misunderstanding, I said, my tone lazy. My casual attitude only enraged Chloe more. A misunderstanding. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I only saw this one text. Who knows how many others there have been? He's a serial cheater. Can't even keep it in his pants while his wife is pregnant. Chloe's body was clumsy with pregnancy. She couldn't possibly climb onto the waist-high windowsill. She just clung to it dramatically while Ashley protectively shielded her stomach. Don't do anything stupid, Ashley soothed. No man is worth this. Think about yourself, about me, about Mom. Her mother turned to me, her voice urgent. Andy, just apologize. Promise her it will never happen again. Do it now. Are you just going to stand there and watch her jump? Can you live with that? In my past life, that's exactly what I did. I was genuinely terrified she'd hurt herself. I figured I could just apologize to calm her down and explain the truth later. In a marriage, saving face wasn't as important as peace. We were supposed to be partners for life. But I learned the hard way that once you admit to something you didn't do, no matter the reason, the stain never comes off. That apology was the first crack in the dam of my self-respect, and it led to a lifetime of being walked all over. I deferred to her every demand, obeyed her every command. I worked myself to the bone, enduring endless overtime and schmoozing clients at happy hours, all to give her a good life. I thought I was building a home for us. But reality slapped me across the face. There was no home. After my parents died, I never really had one. The woman having a meltdown in front of me wasn't truly afraid her husband had betrayed her. She was just using it as an excuse to vent her own misery. The real reason she was threatening suicide was because she was pregnant with my child, and in her mind, that was a betrayal of the man she truly loved. Now all eyes were on me, waiting for me to bow my head as expected. I shook my head firmly. I did nothing wrong, and your pregnancy doesn't give you a free pass to make wild accusations. If you really can't stand being married to me, why don't we just get a divorce? Then you'll be free to go find the one that got away. Divorce over something so small. Andy, what are you talking about? You're the one she loves. There's nobody else, her mother said, trying to smooth things over when she heard the seriousness in my voice. But Chloe just stood there, frozen. I had hit a nerve. Her eyes darted around the room, unable to meet mine. Ashley saw the truth in her sister's expression, and her own righteous anger deflated. The atmosphere thickened with an awkward silence. A moment ago, Chloe had been a raging storm. Now, she simply closed her eyes and pretended to faint. Her mother and Ashley screamed, catching her as they fumbled for a phone to call 911. I stood there like a spectator, watching the chaos unfold. 3. Chloe was admitted to the hospital that night. She tried to avoid talking about her long-lost love, but I wasn't going to let it go. I went home and found the old smartphone she was so protective of, the one she never let me touch. It was locked away in her nightstand drawer. Every night, she'd hold that phone, a distant look on her face. I pried the drawer open. The phone was filled with years of text messages between them, a conversation that spanned from high school all the way to last week. They had never lost contact. Like a man torturing himself, I read every single one. On our wedding day, Chloe had sent him a text. If you show up, I'll run away with you. No wonder she'd been so anxious that day, her eyes constantly darting toward the entrance. She was waiting for her great love to come and rescue her. He never came. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms, but the physical pain was nothing compared to this. From the texts, I learned that her one that got away was Ethan Vance, a guy from my own high school, from my own graduating class. We'd been friendly back then, but drifted apart after heading to different colleges. He had gotten married young, right after graduation. I was one of his groomsmen. Chloe was a bridesmaid. That's how we met. So, from the very beginning, I was just a tool for her to get over him. A consolation prize. The next day, I took the phone and went to her hospital room to confront her. Before I could push the door open, I heard a man's voice from inside. "You're pregnant now, Chloe. You need to focus on building a life with Andy. He's a good man." To be called a good man by him, of all people, it was the ultimate insult. "Did you come today because you were worried about me?" Chloe asked, her voice soft and hopeful. "Of course. We're friends. I was worried. But I should get going. Take care of yourself." He was leaving. I didn't move. There was no point in hiding. He saw me standing in the doorway. "Andy," he said, not missing a beat. "Why are you just standing there? Your wife misses you." It was Ethan Vance. He wasn't flustered at all. In fact, he seemed to be provoking me. "I think she probably misses you more," I said flatly, looking him straight in the eye. "How's your wife, by the way? Is she home?" He finally looked away, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. He changed the subject. "Hey, the high school reunion is tomorrow night. You going?" "Wouldn't miss it." Chloe, lying in a hospital bed, looked visibly tense. She clutched her blanket, but didn't dare say a word. I didn't waste any more time on Ethan and let him leave. As soon as he was gone, Chloe's old, defiant attitude returned. She glared at me, her brow furrowed in disapproval. "Why are you so hard on Ethan? He was just visiting, unlike you, my husband, who barely showed up a day later. I was just giving you two some privacy. You should be thanking me." Her face went pale, but she remained stubborn. "There's nothing going on between us. This is your baby I'm carrying. I thought you didn't want this baby." Chloe finally snapped, hurling a pillow at my head. "That was just talk, Andy. I was angry. I'm pregnant. My hormones are all over the place. Can't you cut me some slack? What is it you really want?" After her outburst, she looked wounded again, as if I were the one who had wronged her. The image of my own pathetic death flashed in my mind. "I just want a family," I said, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. Her eyes lit up with something like hope. "We will have a family," she said quickly, "as soon as the baby is born." I gave a faint, bitter smile and shook my head. "No, it's not the same. You can't give me what I want. A house without love isn't a home. It's just an empty shell." Chloe opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. She swallowed hard, defeated. See? She couldn't even lie and say she loved me. The next day, Chloe checked herself out of the hospital. She insisted on cooking for me, despite her morning sickness. The smell of cooking oil sent her running to the bathroom every few minutes. By the time she was done, everything was burnt. She placed a few barely edible dishes on the table and forced a smile. "Honey, dinner's ready." She was suddenly trying to play the part of the perfect wife. If this were my first life, I might have been moved by the gesture. But now, I had no intention of playing along. I glanced at the table from the couch and didn't move. "I have a reunion tonight. I'll eat there." "What reunion? When will you be back?" she asked, a strange tension in her voice. She wasn't angry, just anxious. "I already made all this food. Can't you just have a little?" I ignored her, grabbed my car keys, and walked out the door. When I got to the restaurant, I didn't go in right away. I stood outside and smoked a cigarette, trying to clear my head. As I was putting it out, a voice called my name. "Andy Miller. It's been a long time." I looked up and saw a woman standing there. It took me a moment, but then the memory clicked. Madison Hayes. We'd basically grown up together. She looked incredible, elegant, and poised in a simple black dress that highlighted a confidence she hadn't had as a girl. A genuine smile spread across my face. "Madison. Wow. Long time no see. What are you doing here?" We caught up for a few minutes. I learned she'd taken over her family's business and was now the CEO of a major corporation, the very same one Ethan Vance worked for. "Are you still swimming?" she asked. I shook my head with a wry smile. "Not anymore. There was a river behind my childhood home, and people were always falling in. I'd rescued Madison herself more than once. To get better at it, I'd trained relentlessly, even making the state team. But a bad injury in college ended my athletic career for good. Now I was just another desk jockey." Before we could talk more, my old classmates started to arrive. Madison and I exchanged numbers and promised to get together soon. Inside the private room, the party was already in full swing. At the center of it all was Ethan, with his wife, Victoria, by his side. I'd only met her once at their wedding. It had been an extravagant affair that was the talk of our friend group for months. Victoria's family was incredibly wealthy, and she was completely devoted to Ethan. We all used a joke that he had some kind of magic touch with women. Looking back, I guess he did. He had other people's women devoted to him, too. Ethan, my man, I said, walking up to them. Good to see you again. You too, Andy. Been a while, he replied, draping a proprietary arm around Victoria's shoulder, smiling like a king surveying his court. He'd suggested this reunion yesterday, and it was obvious he was here to show off. I decided to pop his balloon. A while? Didn't we just see each other yesterday? Ethan's smile faltered. Victoria looked at him, curious. Yesterday? Where did you two meet? Before I could answer, Ethan cut in, clearly worried about what I might say. Andy's wife is in the hospital. I was in the area for a meeting and just stopped by to see how she was doing. Seeing the panic in his eyes, I was about to needle him a little more, but my phone rang. It was Chloe's mother, her voice frantic. Something's happened to Chloe. She's back in the hospital. You need to come right now. On a whim, I decided to bring Ethan with me. He hesitated for a moment, then agreed to come. When we got to the hospital, Chloe was still in the ER. I'd initially assumed it was another one of her fainting spells, but this time it was real. After more than 2 hours of surgery, they finally wheeled her out, hooked up to a web of machines. Her mother and Ashley were sobbing uncontrollably. Slowly, Chloe's eyes fluttered open. The first person she saw was Ethan. I watched as her gaze shifted from hazy confusion to pure, unadulterated joy. She recognized him. A trembling hand reached out in his direction, her voice a fragile whisper. Is this heaven? Does this mean if I die, I get to see you again? The way you were when we were young. My blood ran cold. Chloe was reborn, too. Her eyes were locked on Ethan, seeing not the man standing before her, but the boy she had lost over 2 decades ago. She stared at him as if afraid he would vanish if she blinked. Tears streamed down her face. Thank God, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. It's real. I can still fix it. Ethan, however, did not share her sentiment. A dark look crossed his face. The last thing he wanted was to expose their private connection in front of everyone. Ma'am, you just got out of surgery. I think you're confused, he said with a forced smile, turning and pushing me forward to take his place. Andy's right here. Only then did Chloe seem to notice me. Her gaze shifted from Ethan, sweeping over me with the detached indifference you'd give a stranger. A bitter rage churned in my gut. So this was it. The first thing she does in her new life is search for her idealized love. 30-plus years of marriage, of my life spent devoted to her, meant nothing. It was all a dream to her. I had never mattered. Her lips pressed into a thin line as she seemed to sort through a lifetime of memories in her head. After a moment, she spoke. Andy, could you give Ethan and me a minute alone? There's something I need to tell him. Anything you have to say to my husband, you can say in front of me. Victoria stood in the doorway, her eyes blazing as she stared down Chloe. She had come after all. Any wife would be suspicious when her husband gets dragged away to see another woman in hospital. A small, dark smile touched my lips. Ethan rushed to Victoria's side. She just got out of surgery, honey. She's not thinking clearly, just talking nonsense. He was desperate to distance himself, terrified of what Victoria might think. A storm of emotions, longing, love, pain, flickered in Chloe's eyes. She took a deep breath, forcing a weak smile for Victoria. Please, don't misunderstand. I just wanted to thank Ethan. Victoria let out a cold laugh. You saw him yesterday. You see him again today. I'm sure he appreciates the thanks. But your husband is standing right here. Why are you so focused on mine? You're in a hospital bed. You should try to get some rest. Chloe's mother, unable to stand it, started to pipe up. Who do you think you are, talking to my daughter like that? Ethan shot Chloe a warning look, and she quickly cut her mother off. Mom, stop. Her mother's face flushed with anger, but she bit her tongue. I watched as Chloe swallowed her pride, her gaze fixed on the floor. Thank you for your concern, she mumbled to Victoria. In my past life, Chloe had never bowed her head to me once. But for her precious, long-lost love, she was willing to endure any humiliation. One was willing to dish it out, the other willing to take it. And I was the fool who had spent a lifetime playing the devoted backup. He was welcome to her. This time, I was taking a different path. The show was over. As I turned to leave, a doctor in a white coat entered the room. The patient needs to rest. This is a hospital, not a party. Anyone who isn't immediate family needs to leave now. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief and quickly escorted Victoria out of the room. I tried to slip out with them, but Chloe's mother blocked my way. "Chloe needs you," she insisted. The irony was laughable. Chloe's eyes were still glued to the doorway, following Ethan's retreating figure until he was long gone. Only then did her shoulders slump in disappointment. With the room finally quiet, the doctor cleared his throat, his expression grave. "I'm very sorry," he said. "The patient had a miscarriage." The air in the room turned to ice. With all the drama about Ethan, I hadn't even noticed that Chloe's stomach was now completely flat. "We did everything we could," the doctor said somberly. "She'll need a lot of care to recover physically. And please, pay close attention to her emotional well-being." "My poor daughter," Chloe's mother wailed, her face draining of all color. "Why is your life so hard?" Lying in the bed, Chloe heard the news and blankly touched her stomach. Having come back from 30 years in the future, she'd long forgotten the feeling of being pregnant. Slowly, a look of bewilderment on her face was replaced by a flicker of unmistakable joy. I watched her reaction, my heart cold as stone. Of course she was happy. That letter proved how much she resented having my child. It's why, even after he was born, she raised him to hate his own father. Lost in her secret relief, Chloe didn't even hear the doctor explain that due to the complications, it would be extremely difficult for her to ever get pregnant again. Her mother, overcome with grief, fainted. I had no desire to be alone with Chloe. I turned and walked out. Outside the hospital, I decided to walk to clear my head. A car pulled up beside me, honking its horn persistently. I was about to yell at the driver when the window rolled down, revealing Madison Hayes' smiling face. "Knew I'd find you here," she said. "Madison, what are you doing here?" I asked, genuinely surprised. "I know a few of your high school classmates. They were all buzzing about what you said at the reunion, guessing you were hinting that your wife and Ethan Vance had something going on." Victoria apparently heard the same gossip and rushed over. I was bored, so I came to see the fireworks for myself. She gave me a playful, teasing look. Victoria and Ethan came out looking like thunderclouds. "I guess you really did get cheated on." "Huh. That's a hell of a thing to say to the guy it happened to," I said, unable to suppress a small smile. She dropped the teasing tone and told me to get in. The moment the car door closed, the noise of the city seemed to fade into a distant hum. I let out a long breath, a weight lifting from my shoulders. As she drove, Madison started reminiscing about her childhood. "I remember you were like a local hero back then, the Aqua Flash, always so confident. Your parents had a whole wall covered in your swimming trophies." She talked about the silly things we did in school, the times we got in trouble. Her voice was warm with nostalgia, and for a moment, it transported me back to a simpler time, a time before everything went wrong, a time when my parents were still alive, and I was just a cocky kid. "How have you been, really?" she asked suddenly, her tone soft with genuine concern. I paused. It had been so long since anyone had asked me that and actually meant it. After my parents' accident, I thought Chloe would be that person for me. I couldn't have been more wrong. "I'm okay," I said, looking over at her. In front of an old friend, there was no need to pretend. Everything's not too late to fix, right? The city lights blurred past the window. "Have you ever thought about coming to work for me?" Madison said suddenly. "We're launching a new sports media division." "It's been a lifetime since I had anything to do with sports," I replied, surprised but realistic. Madison just shook her head. "But I know you still follow it. And I believe in you, Andy. I know that when you set your mind to something, you can do it. Just like that time in 10th grade, when you bet me you could beat my test scores." "I lost that bet," I reminded her. "You went from the bottom of the class to the top 10. You were only trying to beat the person who was always number one. So you were a little short." The car came to a stop. Madison turned to face me, her eyes serious. "Come work with me, Andy. I'm serious. And I want you by my side." I saw the hope in her eyes, and I realized I had no reason to say no. Maybe coming back to this life meant I could actually reclaim the time I had lost. A few days later, Chloe, looking frail and pale, found me. Her eyes, however, were sharp and resolute. She got straight to the point. "You're reborn too, aren't you, Andy?" I didn't deny it. "I am. And since we both are, let's not waste any more time. We should get a divorce and go our separate ways." She looked at me, surprised by my directness, then let out a slow breath of relief. "I'm glad you feel that way." Last time, you were so suffocating. It scared me. Just promise you won't bother me anymore, and we can both move on peacefully." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. To think she saw my decades of devotion as suffocating. Some people truly don't deserve kindness. Terrified I might change my mind, Chloe agreed to a quick and clean divorce, asking for nothing. The moment the clerk handed us the finalized papers, a genuine smile spread across her face. Even her gaze toward me softened slightly. As we left the courthouse, she started telling me about her history with Ethan. "You don't understand the connection Ethan and I have," she said, her voice wistful. "He saved me in high school. I fell into the river, and he pulled me out. We missed our chance in the last life. I'm not letting him go this time." Her face was flushed like a teenager's, lost in a romantic memory. But a frown creased my brow. Ethan Vance couldn't swim. The one who could swim was. I kept that thought to myself. I just watched as Chloe walked away, full of hope, toward what she believed was her destiny. That evening, her mother and sister showed up at my door. "My sister developed depression because of you," Ashley said accusingly. "You need to treat her right." "Do you know why she had a miscarriage?" her mother added. "She was planning a surprise candlelight dinner for you the day you left. She was so excited, and then something went wrong." It was the same story as the last life. Chloe clearly hadn't told them we were divorced. They would never have supported it. In their eyes, Ethan was a married man. Chloe was now divorced and physically scarred, making her prospects of finding another man slim. I was the perfect, reliable safety net. "Exactly," her mother continued. "She lost your baby. The least you can do is stop talking about divorce and be a good husband." A candlelight dinner? Before I left for the reunion, they were spouting absolute nonsense, twisting reality to pin all the blame on me, hoping I'd just swallow my pride and accept it. Most couples might have done just that. If I hadn't already lived this life, maybe I would have too. But I knew with absolute certainty that I could not endure another moment of being tied to Chloe. I calmly shattered their narrative. "You didn't know? Chloe was the one who asked for the divorce, and she left with nothing." "What are you talking about?" her mother shrieked. "Chloe would never be that stupid. She did nothing wrong. Why would she agree to that?" Their voices trailed off as they exchanged a look of dawning horror. They stormed off, presumably to find Chloe. I had no interest in their family drama. I went inside and changed the locks on my doors. Soon after, I started my new job at Madison's company, taking full charge of the new sports media division. She gave me complete autonomy and her unconditional support. "Go for it," she'd said. "If anything goes wrong, I've got your back." For the first time in years, I felt a surge of motivation. To have someone believe in me so completely was a powerful thing. I threw myself into my work. I didn't hear from Chloe or her family again. And at the office, Ethan Vance had taken an extended leave of absence for family matters. Aunt Madison told me the gossip later. Victoria, terrified Ethan would cheat, had essentially put him under house arrest. I raised an eyebrow at her. For the CEO of a major corporation, a woman who was a shark in the boardroom, she had a surprising appetite for office drama. She playfully punched my arm, a mock glare on her face that, under the office lights, looked more like flirting. I caught her hand, my heart skipping a beat as I felt its warmth. "Let's go out tonight," I said. "A celebration." "Celebrating what?" "Celebrating my divorce," I said with a smile. "Celebrating my freedom." Madison froze for a second, a flicker of hope and joy in her eyes. She tried to hide it, pressing her lips together and nodding with forced casualness. "Okay," she said. In less than a year, the new division was a runaway success. We exceeded every target, and the company's overall revenue doubled. I was promoted to vice president. The company threw a huge party to celebrate. The ballroom was buzzing, filled with laughter and chatter. People kept coming up to congratulate me, to clink glasses. Across the room, Madison was holding her own court, surrounded by admirers. Our eyes met over the crowd, and we shared a silent, knowing smile. A few minutes later, we both made our excuses and slipped out. The night air was cool. We found a quiet spot and sat on a curb, drinking beer from the bottle like we were kids again. The city seemed to slow down around us as we stared up at the scattered stars. From a doormat of a husband slaving away for a family that wasn't real, to a successful executive. It felt like a lifetime had passed. "It feels good to have a moment like this," I said quietly, It's been a long, long road. So why did you just disappear back then? Madison asked, turning to look at me. It was a question she'd been holding on to for a long time. I took a long swallow of beer, the alcohol warming my chest. I am sorry. After my parents died, I was just lost in grief. All I wanted was to run away from everything. I would have been there for you, Andy, if you had just told me. I'm here for you now, too. After the hell of my last life, I should have been more cynical. But looking into her determined, unwavering eyes, I knew Madison was nothing like Chloe. I couldn't use her to heal the wounds another woman had given me. That would make me no better than Chloe. I know you would have, I said, but it was something I needed to get through on my own. You're a good person, Madison. You deserve to be cherished. So, wait for me, please. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, but her voice was steady. Okay, I'll wait. After that night, we dove back into our work, her silent support a constant presence at my side. Then, one day, Ethan Vance resigned. I had assumed we were destined for one last confrontation, but it never came. Madison gave me the update. After the divorce, Chloe, free from all constraints, had thrown herself at Ethan with a singular, obsessive focus. She didn't care that he was still married. Reborn, her desperation to reclaim him, was all-consuming. She was proof that a person could abandon all dignity for what they believed was true love. Victoria had been watching Ethan like a hawk, but a man that determined to stray will always find a way, especially with a woman who so adored him. He'd pretended to be reformed, and Victoria had relaxed her guard just enough for them to find opportunities to meet. But she had installed security cameras all over their house. She eventually found everything. Victoria is divorcing him, Madison said. But she's not just leaving him. She's going to destroy him. Making him lose his job is just the beginning. I wondered if Chloe, in her single-minded quest to rewrite her past, was prepared for this ending. A week later, a figure blocked my path in the underground parking garage. She looked like she'd been living on the streets, disheveled, clothes dirty, eyes bloodshot and wild. It was Chloe. She stared at me, her voice trembling. So, the person who saved me, it was you? And the jacket left on the riverbank. It was just Ethan's jacket. Disbelief warred with a desperate hope in her eyes. She wanted me to say no. She needed the narrative she had built her entire life around. 2 lives, even, to be true. She needed to believe that the wreckage of her current situation was all part of some grand, romantic struggle. I looked at her, my expression calm, and delivered the final blow. It was me. I'd rescued so many people from that river over the years that I didn't even remember her specifically. But from her story, I pieced it together. I'd borrowed Ethan's jacket that day, taken it off before I jumped in the water, and left it on the bank. She found it. If she had just asked around, asked a single person, she would have learned the truth. But she saw what she wanted to see. She didn't find the wrong rescuer by mistake. She chose him. Tears welled in her eyes, and she bit her lip so hard I thought it might bleed. If I hadn't gotten it wrong back then, would we have been different? She was always searching for another possibility, another path. She never understood her own heart, and she never cared about the feelings of others, crashing through life, expecting the world to bend for her. And in the end, reality had broken her. A profound weariness washed over me. I had wasted an entire lifetime on this person. Thank God I was given a second chance. I wouldn't waste this one. Without a word, I turned to leave. Wait, she cried, grabbing the sleeve of my suit jacket. Can we go back? I know now. It was always you. I love you, Andy. You said you wanted a family. Let me give you one. Please, just give me one more chance. Her hands were caked in grime from wherever she'd been hiding, and they left a dirty black handprint on my clean sleeve. A perfect metaphor for the marks she'd left on my life. Let go, Chloe, I said. It's over. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face, her grip tightening. A man this good, a clear voice said from behind me, should be cherished by someone who actually appreciates him. Madison appeared at my side. She affectionately straightened my tie, then looked at Chloe with a cool, confident smile. See, he doesn't belong to you anymore. Dressed in an elegant evening gown, Madison radiated grace and power. Chloe looked down at her own ragged clothes and instinctively shrank back, her hand falling away from my arm. Madison noticed the smudge on my jacket. We have a gala to get to, she said, her voice light. I got you a new suit for tonight. This one. She paused, her eyes meeting mine. Is dirty. Just throw it away. The soiled jacket fell to the ground at Chloe's feet. I smiled, a real, unburdened smile. That's what this new life was for, wiping away the stains of the past. I held out my hand to Madison, and she took it, her fingers lacing through mine. Let's go, Maddie, I said. We shouldn't waste any more time on people who don't matter. We walked away together, leaving Chloe and her wreckage behind us. Whatever expression was on her face, whatever future awaited her, it was no longer my concern. In this life, she was just a ghost, and I was finally the hero of my own story.